Deep within the Appalachians, shrouded by misty valleys and dense woods, lies what may be the most ruined lineage from inbreeding in America. For over a century, the story of the Caldwell family remained buried, a clan that, since 1850, chose not just geographical but genetic isolation, creating one of the most devastated bloodlines from marriage among close relatives ever documented on U.S. soil. This is a journey back through time, revealing how decisions made more than 100 years ago irrevocably shaped the destiny of entire generations. It's an investigation into how isolation, poverty, and antiquated beliefs transformed a once prosperous pioneer family into a sobering case study on the devastating effects of prolonged inbreeding. Our story opens in 1847, when Thomas Caldwell, a prosperous timber merchant from eastern Virginia, decided to seek new fortune in the unexplored western lands. Accompanied by his wife Sarah, their 5 sons and 2 daughters, along with 3 brothers and their families, Thomas established a small community in what is now McDowell County, on the border of Kentucky and West Virginia. "The land is fertile and the mountains rich with coal," wrote Thomas in his personal diary, recovered in 1978 by local historians. "Here, far from the corrupting influences of the cities, we can build a community on true Christian values and moral purity." What began as a legitimate and hopeful venture would soon meet its first great trial. The American Civil War erupted in 1861, fracturing the nation and driving the Caldwells deeper into seclusion. Historical records show that, fearing conscription by either side, the Caldwell men took their families farther into the mountains, settling in a remote valley locally known as Hollow Creek. This isolation, first a protective measure, became permanent after the war's end. Instead of reintegrating with a developing society, the Caldwells chose to remain in their mountain refuge, nurturing a growing disdain for outside influence and a fierce ethic of self-reliance. It was in this context that the first marriage between first cousins in the family took place. In 1879, Joseph Caldwell, grandson of the founder, married his cousin Elizabeth. According to Joseph's diary, preserved by the Kentucky Historical Society, this came after a failed attempt to find a wife in the nearest town. "The town girls are frivolous and impure," Joseph wrote. "Elizabeth knows our ways and our values. Our blood is strong, and it will remain so." This marriage, considered acceptable at the time in many rural American communities, set a precedent that would be repeated with increasing frequency in the generations to follow. As the family grew yet remained secluded, marital options narrowed drastically. What we see with the Caldwells wasn't occasional inbreeding, but a systematic practice that intensified over generations, explains historian Dr. Margaret Hollingsworth of West Virginia University, who has extensively studied the family records. By around 1920, virtually every family member shared multiple common ancestors. The first visible signs from this continuous intermarriage appeared in the 3rd generation of consanguineous unions. Medical records from 1915, found in the estate of a local doctor, document the births of 3 Caldwell children with atypical physical traits, including extra digits, underdeveloped jawlines, and significant cognitive difficulties. Dr. Elijah Montgomery, a rural physician who occasionally tended to the community, noted his observations with growing alarm. "Problematic births among the Caldwells are becoming frighteningly frequent," he wrote. "I attempted to warn them of the risks of close kin marrying, but was met with hostility and accusations of outside meddling." The Great Depression of 1929 only tightened the family's isolation. While the country grappled with economic collapse, the Caldwells, already accustomed to privation and seclusion, withdrew even further from outside contact. It was during this period that marriages between uncles and nieces, and even half-siblings, began to occur. A 1937 report from a social worker sent as part of New Deal initiatives to aid isolated communities offers a disturbing glimpse. The Caldwell community, numbering approximately 60, lives in conditions of extreme poverty and isolation. "I observed numerous cases of obvious physical deformity and atypical behavior. When questioned, these conditions were described to me as marks of family distinction. I recommend immediate intervention by public health authorities." Despite this recommendation, no significant action was taken, as World War II soon diverted government resources, allowing the Caldwells to continue their path of isolation and endogenous marriage. Check now to see if you're already subscribed to the channel, so you don't miss the most impactful revelations about hidden stories of consanguinity that have shaped entire communities and left devastating genetic legacies persisting to this day. The 1950s marked a critical turning point in the Caldwell saga, when the near-century-long genetic consequences of inbreeding became impossible to ignore, even for the family itself. An unofficial 1952 census by local health officials who finally gained access documented that of 82 Caldwells living in Hollow Creek, 37 had significant physical anomalies. These included reduced stature, cranial malformations, webbed fingers, syndactyly, severely compromised vision, and varying degrees of cognitive impairment. What we observed is a classic example of how inbreeding amplifies the expression of harmful recessive genes, explains Dr. Harold Jenkins, a University of Louisville geneticist who studied the medical records in the 1970s. In a diverse population, these genes rarely meet their match. In a closed family, the probability skyrockets. The family's situation remained largely unknown until 1956, when Louisville Courier-Journal journalist Robert Thornton followed rumors of a mountain family with unusual traits. What began as a human interest story on Appalachian life uncovered something far more troubling. After painstaking effort, Thornton gained a visit to Hollow Creek. His subsequent article, The Forgotten Valley, caused a national sensation. Hidden in the mountains of our own state, Thornton wrote, are Americans that time has forgotten. The result is a community where genetic deformity and cognitive deficiency have become the norm, not the exception. The article, accompanied by photographs, sparked immediate calls for intervention from social agencies, religious groups, and state authorities. The Caldwells' response was to retreat further, blocking the entrance to Hollow Creek and threatening any outsider who approached. Thornton's investigation also revealed a disturbing belief system the family had developed, a distorted ideology mixing religion with a conviction of genetic exceptionalism. Caldwell blood is special, family patriarch Jeremiah Caldwell told Thornton. The outside world is contaminated. We preserve our purity, and the marks on our bodies are signs of that distinction. The 1960s brought change to Appalachia through programs like President Johnson's War on Poverty. Improved roads, new schools, and expanded services began reaching the most isolated hollows. In 1967, following anonymous reports about children in perilous conditions, social workers and health professionals, escorted by state police, finally entered Hollow Creek. What they found was staggering. The situation defies adequate description, wrote social worker Clara Roberts. Children with severe deformities lack basic medical care. The level of cognitive impairment in many raises questions of informed consent regarding the marital relation still occurring. This intervention led to the removal of 14 children under 12, placed in state custody. It also triggered violent resistance, culminating in a clash known as the Hollow Creek Siege, which left 2 state troopers and 3 Caldwell men dead. The 1970s were an inflection point. After the 1967 confrontation, a permanent state presence was established. The removed children became subjects of intense study. A 1972 Kentucky Health Department report detailed a constellation of anomalies consistent with extreme genetic homozygosity. The study found inbreeding coefficients among the young Caldwells ranging from 0.25 to 0.375, levels typically seen only in parent-child or sibling unions. The Caldwell case significantly contributed to stronger laws against consanguineous marriage in the 1970s, notes Dr. Richard Stevenson, the study's lead geneticist. For the family members who remained, change was traumatic and met with resistance. You come with your diplomas and laws saying our way is wrong, said 42-year-old Martha Caldwell in a 1975 interview, one of the few without obvious physical anomalies. But who are you to judge? Here, our children are family. Outside, they'd be ridiculed. A tragic fire in 1977, which killed 5 family members with limited mobility, catalyzed the final state intervention. Citing uninhabitable conditions, authorities ordered the complete evacuation of Hollow Creek. The 37 remaining Caldwells were relocated to subsidized housing in nearby towns, forcibly breaking the century-long cycle of extreme isolation. If you're still following this story, pause right here and leave the phrase "the blood that unites also condemns" in the comments. Your engagement is what allows us to keep bringing these stories that reveal the darkest corners of human experience. The 1980s saw scientific advances that deepened the understanding of the Caldwell case. In 1982, the University of Kentucky launched a major genealogical and genetic study. After 6 years of research, Dr. Stevenson's team published groundbreaking findings in the American Journal of Human Genetics. The Caldwell genome was found to be exceptionally homogeneous, with 27 specific harmful mutations at alarming frequency. 1. A previously unknown mutation in the PAH gene causing a rare form of phenylketonuria, dubbed the Caldwell variant, affected about 40% of living family members. This mutation likely arose in a single ancestor, Stevenson explained. Generations of inbreeding caused it to spread widely. For the Caldwells, this decade was a continued struggle for adaptation. Younger generations, especially those born after the 1977 dispersion, integrated with varying success. Rebecca Caldwell, born in 1968 and one of the children removed in 1967, became a powerful voice. Despite having extra fingers, she earned a scholarship to the University of Kentucky. "I carry the name Caldwell proudly," she said in a 1989 speech, "not because of my ancestors' choices, but despite them." Our story is a reminder of the dangers of isolation, but also of human resilience. For older members, adjustment was far harder. Many faced depression, and some took their own lives. Ezekiel Caldwell, born in 1932, remained a critic until his death in 1985. "You took us from our land, broke our families, made us specimens," he said. "In Hollow Creek, we had purpose. What do we have now?" Yet, objective data showed improvement. A 1986 follow-up found that since the dispersion and end of consanguineous marriage, no new child had been born with the most severe conditions that plagued earlier generations. The basic principles of population genetics were being validated in real time. As we near the present, the Caldwell narrative evolves from a simple case study on inbreeding into a more complex tale of legacy, identity, and reconciliation. The definitive 1992 study by Stevenson's team confirmed the Caldwells represented an extreme in modern medical literature. Socially, the 1990s saw gradual integration. In 1994, Rebecca Caldwell organized the first large family reunion, attended by over 120 descendants. "We are here to recognize our survival and our determination to break the cycle," she said. The Caldwell Foundation for Genetic Research was established in 1999 to support study and education. Yet stigma persisted. Between 1990 and 2005, at least 28 descendants legally changed their surnames due to discrimination. The 21st century brought remarkable milestones. In 2007, Thomas Caldwell, great-grandson of the last Hollow Creek patriarch, became the first family member to earn a medical degree, specializing in genetics. "My family history is a responsibility," he said. "Few doctors have such an intimate understanding of the conditions they treat." A 2015 University of Kentucky study comparing 5 generations of Caldwells showed clearly how genetic diversification since the 1980s was reversing the legacy. Harmful recessive genes, while still elevated, were diminishing in frequency with each new generation. In 2018, an experimental gene therapy targeted specifically at the Caldwell variant of PKU showed promising results, developed with family participation. "We are redeeming our history," said Dr. Thomas Caldwell. Today, for the roughly 250 direct descendants of the original Hollow Creek settlers, the legacy is multifaceted. The Caldwell Community Center, established in 2019 near the original homestead, now offers assisted living and a connection to roots without the isolation. "It's about honoring our history without being limited by it," explains Rebecca Caldwell, the Foundation's executive director. The deepest lesson may come from Martha Caldwell's final reflection before her 2008 passing. "For a long time, we thought we were protecting ourselves from the world. We learned we were also trapping ourselves. The blood we share connects us, but it is in mixing different bloods that we find strength and renewal. That is the truth I wish we'd known a century ago." If you've watched this far, you're invested in this story. Comment "I watched here" so I can know who truly appreciates these deep dives into the human condition. Be sure to like, share this with others interested in such stories, and subscribe with notifications on so you never miss our next investigation into history's hidden chapters.